Hello everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Donna Gordon and I'm part of the membership team here at IIRSM. Today you will be joined by two guest speakers, Clive Johnson and Nazir Ali. But before I hand over to your branch chair, Hassan, I'm just going to run through a few things first. To begin with, you should see to the right of your screen a toolbar with various options. You will be on mute for the duration of the webinar, but feel free to ask any questions, make any comments using the question area, and we will take 5 to 10 minutes to respond to these at the end of the presentation. If you need any support using GoToWebinar, the I symbol will take you to the support site. Finally, this webinar is being recorded and a copy of the recording will be placed on the IIRSM YouTube channel after the event. So that's enough from me. Hassan, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you, Donna. My name is Hassan Ahmed. I'm actually the chairman for IIRSM Bahrain branch. I would like to welcome everybody for this event, and I hope it will be enjoyable. Our first speaker is Mr. Nizar Ahmed. Mr. Nizar Hamid Ali. He's been appointed as Health and Safety Manager at Aluminium Bahrain Alba since 2018. He has been working with Alba since 1997 as a senior operator in Cast House. Then, over the years, he's been promoted to different roles. He got the opportunity to play an instrumental role in the developing organizations' standards and operating procedures, relevant to safety, health, environment, and Alba Code of Practice. Mr. Nizar played a key role in the transformation of Alba behavior-based safety culture, factoring implementable throughout the practical adherence of Alba zero harm principle. He played a major role in developing the health and safety training and development program for Alba employees through all the ranks. Mr. Nizar has played a crucial role in the planning, implementation, and monitoring of health and safety management system during the construction of and commissioning of stage of Alba reduction line 4 expansion project, which boosted the company total production capacity by more than 50%. He have also played a role in developing partnership between Alba and many local international bodies, for example, IIRSM, IOSH, and other National Safety Council and others. Mr. Nizar holds an MBA from EC through the French Arabian Business School, Bahrain, as well as BE in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Teesside, UK. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Nizar Hamid. Mr. Nizar.
Thank you, Hassan, for long introductions. Of course, I would like to thank you. Thanks IIRSM for holding this webinars and allowing Alba to be a partner on that. Of course, I'm sure that Mr. Clement, he will take us through his presentation, talking about how really good the risk and safety management will enable the people to manage the risk associated with their operation, and is really the key thing in today industry. As you know, and you even mentioned it, Hassan, that Alba now has become the largest smelter under one roof out of China, where we produce more than 1.5 million metric ton of aluminium. Alba, of course, employ more than 3,000 employees, including also another around 2,000 contractors working in daily basis in our site in Alba. Of course, under the leadership of our CEO, Mr. Ali Al-Baqali, ALBA consider risk management, safety risk management as a vital part of our day-to-day process. And of course, we are looking to sustain our businesses. And now everyone knows safety, it's part of the sustainability because one of the major assets, especially in the industry like us, heavy industry, smelter industry, is the people. People is one of our big assets where their experience play a big role. So protecting them, it's something really we consider it could be one of the highest risks that if you could lose your experienced people. That's why our management really looking for and believe to support this kind of activity. Part of it that yes, we improve our workforce in it. The other part of course, that ALBA fulfill the social responsibility we feel here in ALBA, that what we want to spread the knowledge, improving the standard and safety with the local community for our customer, downstream customers, other customer in Bahrain. So we love to support this kind of activity and webinar. This is how our management look to pay back and be a social responsible in the community of Bahrain. That's why we love to support and sponsor this kind of activity. Of course, I'm confident that this webinar will give a lot of information. Everyone will have something to take and improve the safety in our kingdom, in the industry we have, because that's, as I said and mentioned, it is a crucial part to sustain any kind of business. With that, Hassan, so thank you very much, and I will be happy to listen now to the clip for his presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nazar. Actually, Mr. Nazar had talked that ALBA really the main consider their staff as the main asset for the company, and like to protect their employees on the support activities like this activity, part of the social responsibility. So thank you very much, Mr. Nazar. I would like now to welcome Mr. Clive, the president of IIRSM. Mr. Clive was elected as the president in December 2019. Prior to, he served as deputy president for 2 years. Mr. Clive is currently employed by Derwent London PLC as their group head of health and safety, ensuring health and safety compliance across property portfolio covering 5.4 million square feet, including developments such as Brunel Building, White Collar Factory, Angel Building. Previously, Clive has been head of health and safety at Land Securities, health and safety manager for Asda, Walmart, and health and safety leader for BAE on the Terminal 5 project. Mr. Clive is an active member of Cognac Construction Industry Advisory Committee member representing CCG, and also chairman Construction Clients Group, CCG, committee member of Strategic Health and Safety Forum for Construction, chairman of NSCC, National Specialist Contractors Council Health and Safety Committee, and has a seat on the editorial panel for CIP, Construction Industry Publication. Health and Safety Manual, the Blue Book, recently involved in a working group for the development of a new guideline document for the retail sector. Clive also chaired the Cognac Client Working Group developing client guidance document. So I would like to welcome Mr. Clive, please.
Thank you very much. Kind introduction, Hassan. First and foremost, I really do appreciate the opportunity to share with you what I do believe what good health and safety management looks like. And I'm sure lots of people have got their own view on what it looks like, but what I'd like to do is share with you the way that I've worked with particularly the UK construction sector and property sector in terms of driving the sort of health, safety and risk agenda across our very, very diverse portfolio. So what I'm going to share with you now for the next sort of 20 minutes is Clive's version of what good health and safety risk management looks like. And no matter what business that you're involved with, and I'm sure you've got your own ways that you manage risk, but what I'd like from today is maybe a takeaway that you get from today is that you can all look at your own businesses in a different way in terms of how you manage risk. And for me would be the big takeaway. And hopefully throughout the presentation, there'll be some takeaways you can maybe implement into your own businesses to drive that particular agenda. So again, without further ado, thank you ever so much for inviting me, and I hope you're going to find the next sort of 20 minutes of interest. I generally go off piste a little bit, and I do digress somewhat, but hopefully it's all going to be relevant and interesting for you. So with that, if you'd be so kind and just sort of flick to the next slide, please, Donna. Right. So in Clive's world, it's about being risk aware, not risk averse, but acting responsibly. So as you can see from the slide there, I mean, quite clearly, the person that's doing what he's doing, walking the tightrope, is very aware of the risks he's taking, but he's got the competency, knowledge and skills to do what he's going to do. So the whole sort of next 15 minutes is about that competency that you're required to be able to manage risk. And what I'd like to say right from the start is that I do believe that good risk management is not about using the cloak of compliance to get things done. The way that I've achieved, or what I've achieved over the years, has been around driving a culture which believes and they do the right thing because the right thing's the right thing to do, as opposed to saying the regulation says this, that regulation says that. By getting them to understand and having the right attitude, generally speaking, you don't have to use a cloak of compliance to get things done. And I'm a firm believer in that. And the more we can sort of drive that agenda, I'm sure businesses will be in a far better place in terms of how they engage with all their teams and their people to get things done in the right way. So that sort of slide there really just demonstrates the fact that if you've got the right competencies and the knowledge, why not take on risk if you can manage it? That's what I'm trying to say, because you can never, ever remove all risk. But if you've got the competencies, the knowledge and the skills and the attitude, why not take on risk to manage your business? So if you could just move on to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. Right. I'm speaking to you in a position what's called in the UK as a construction client. And that, in terms of our authorities, we are deemed as an informed and intelligent construction client. So the image you can see on the screen now is about setting the tone right from the top. So as a client in the UK, we're at the top of the food chain. So everything that we do has that ripple effect right down to our supply chain. So the decisions that we make hopefully influence the rest of the team that work around us. And within construction in the UK, the clients are deemed to be, they do set the tone for the whole of the project. And when you speak to contractors in the UK, quite often they will say the project is only as good as what the client is. So if there's anybody listening today that's at the top of the food chain, acting as a client, well, you've got that real opportunity really to set the tone for the whole of the project and influencing your contractors, your people and your supply chain. If you're a contractor out there, again, my request would be that you challenge your clients and ask for a little bit more information from them if you're not getting what you want from a health and safety perspective. So setting the right tone across your business is key to the success of any project, really, in terms of whether it's a construction project or a sort of a property fit out project or whatever you may be involved with in your particular industries where you're operating from at the moment. If you go next slide, please, Donna. Thank you. Right. In terms of the nitty gritty, this is the slide I've just put together really for today, and it's something I'm going to be introducing into the business I work in over the next month or two. And For me, inclusivity is key, and what we don't want is that sort of health and safety team being sort of sat in the corner up on the second floor of a building in your office that you're really not inclusive with the rest of the business. The way and the success for any risk manager in terms of what we do is about being inclusive with the rest of the business. So if I can just give an example of my team don't come and sit in our department area. My team go and sit with their internal and external stakeholders. So they'll be sat with the development, they'll sat with asset management, they'll go and work out in our properties. And it's about that being visible ultimately that gives you that sort of success that you want in terms of inclusivity with the rest of the business. So from that slide you can see in front of you, inclusive health and risk management for Clive is all about the three pillars there we've got. So I'll look at the health, which is both physical and mental. And again, something I don't know what the sort of feeling is where you are, but for many years in the UK, until probably 3 or 4 years ago, there's been more focus on the safety bit than there has been on the health. And when we have safety incidents, it's quite clearly, and you can see there's been an incident because it's there, it's visible, and it's immediate. What industry has not been good at for many years, particularly in the UK, is addressing the health agenda. And if I don't like to dwell on stats, but in the UK last year, there was 38 construction fatalities, okay? Those safety-related fatalities. But the sad fact was there were 12,000 health-related fatalities in that year. But they don't get that same visibility and attention because of the latency of health issues. So health particular issues are probably generated from inhalation of asbestos dust, inhalation of silica dust. There's a whole host of construction activities where people have been exposed to health-related issues. So what I'm trying to say is that we should now give health the same billing as safety in everything that we do. And it's not being that silent partner anymore. We've shouted about safety for so long, and we've got safety in a good place. But what I'm suggesting we should all do now is really shout about health as well as safety and give them that same billing. I've allegedly called myself a health and safety practitioner since about 1996. But if I'm honest, up until about 5 years ago, I was probably just a safety practitioner. But now I feel a lot more equipped to deal with sector, to deal with both health and safety. And I say that's not just the physical health, it's also mental health. In the UK, currently there are 2 suicides a day in our construction, which is really quite scary. So we've got some major programs across the construction sector addressing mental health issues, and we've developed a mental health program called Mates in Mind. And if you want some information on that, I can soon send it to you. But that is where most of our construction sites in the UK now, as part of an induction onto that construction site, you also have what's called a Mates in Mind mental health induction, and we have fully qualified mental health first aiders as well as the normal physical first aiders. So you can see that the UK currently are now addressing both the physical and the mental health aspects of what we do. And so I'm a mental health first aider, which if anybody's not done the course, I would recommend you do it. It's a fantastic, gives you some fantastic knowledge in terms of how to deal with things. And you're not going to be an expert in it, but what you can do, you can signpost people to where to go and get help. So it's a 3-day course, and I would recommend it to anybody that's listening. So again, just reinforcing the health bit along with safety. So we have got the safety element, as you see, that's my next pillar. And we've moved a long way in my experience within the industry in terms of raising the profile on safety, and lots of companies now have got a really good sort of culture around safety and got people trained in the right particular sectors. And then the other bit on the inclusivity bit for me is security, and that's physical security, not cyber. So security for us in the UK is around the sort of security of the sites. We get a lot of what's called urban climbers in the UK, where People want to come onto the sites and climb tower cranes and climb tall buildings and send you pictures to say, well, look where I am. Your security is not very good on this site. So there's another string to our bow where we've got to look at the physical security of how we operate our businesses. So they're my sort of three pillars. And if you pull all these three things together, you know, and they're communicating well, you know, you really can get an inclusive sort of bundle of sort of knowledge around all those three areas. And as I said just earlier on, the fact that you can then put yourself in different parts of business, you can understand what risk they're facing on a day-to-day basis, and you can then drive the sort of physical risk agenda along with that. So I don't know about, you know, I'm just maybe say a bit something controversial at the moment, but I like to call myself as a risk professional now, albeit I trained as a health and safety professional. But in the UK, if you say to somebody you're a health and safety professional, unfortunately, it still carries the same stigma as probably what mental health does. It's sort of a negative thing, and it's health and safety people are there to stop the job and they're there as blockers. But if you have this right attitude towards risk management, I really firmly believe that we as professionals can add value to any part of the business if you have that right approach. So it's not only about having the right technical skills in terms of health, safety and being a risk manager, risk professional. It's having the softer skills to be able to influence people that is key to our success. So yes, you could have somebody with all the right names and initials after his name, but if they haven't got the softer skills, quite often that role doesn't work as it should do. So softer skills are a key part of risk management going forward. If you could just flick over to the next slide, please, Donna. So, how do we get consistency over our very, very diverse portfolio that we may look at? So again, this is a world according to Clive, and sort of something I like to sort of portray in terms of IIRSM's way that we look at things. So the key to success in risk management is about being visible. So as I said earlier, it's not about sat behind your desk, issuing instruction, issuing those sort of local regulations, doing this and that. It's about being visible and influencing people. It's about setting the tone. It's about being open, trusting, and having a transparent culture. Willingness and the courage to speak up, and that's about empowering people. Encourage conversations about risk management and health and safety, and having a joined up approach. So if you look at those individually around trust, it is about empowering your team and your people with trust. And if you empower them with trust, you're going to get a lot more out of them. It's about teamwork. It's what we do in terms of risk managers and health and safety professionals. It is a team game. You cannot do it on your own. We're only as good as the team that you generally work with. So it's again getting the right team around you with all the right skills. And nobody's an expert on everything, but if you've got the right team and a diverse team with all the different skills, you will then get the outcome that you want. So from my perspective, when I employ people, I think I've got a very, very diverse team. So in terms of gender, ethnicity, and the like. And every person brings a different perspective to a problem you may have to solve. So from Clive, the older guy and experienced guy, my view is quite different to a lady's version of things, or somebody else, a younger person in the team. But having everybody around the table to talk about something with all the different, it gets you the right outcome. So teamwork is key. And making health and safety and risk management relevant to what they do, and the fact that you are adding value not only to your bottom line, but you're adding value to people's lives as well. Relationships is absolutely fundamental to this. I really should highlight this even more, because if you can't build relationship with people, you're not going to accomplish anything. So the more relationships you build with people, the more you can accomplish. And relationships come in many ways. Some people you sort of work with quite well, but other people you might have to have a different approach to build that relationship with them. And as I said, the more relationships you build, the better it's going to be. And if you can relate this relationship to a sporting event, for example. So if you think of, I'm going to use Lewis Hamilton as an example, as a World Championship Grand Prix driver. Yes, he wins all the medals and he gets all the trophies, but he can't do what he does without a fantastic team behind him. And what he doesn't want to be doing is falling out with members of his team. So when he's in the Bahrain Grand Prix, for example, and he has to stop after 30 laps for a pit stop to change his tyres, he wants to know that the person changing his tyres are going to do it in a good job and pretty quick and get him on the road again. But what he doesn't want to be doing is falling out with these people the night before, because he'll think, right, sod you, Mr. Hamilton. You know, if we had a big argument yesterday, I'm not going to look after you. So it's about keeping your relationships really firm and having a really good culture with them and an open and trusting relationship. And then if you've got that, you're going to get what you want. And that's how teams work together, by being open and honest and trusting. The next bit I've got on there is about courage. And this is for me about empowering your team and your people with the courage to speak up if things aren't right. Okay? You might not like what you want to hear, but if you empower them with that courage, they're going to let you know about things. Some of the high visibility vests that we've got now within the business, the operatives themselves at the induction, we give them a high visibility vest which says on the back of it, stop me if I'm not working safely or my health is at risk. So that person wearing that vest, he's giving you permission to stop him from working if he's not doing it in a safe or healthy way. The supervisors on the site, on the back of their high vis vest, it says, it's okay to talk to me about safety or health. So the supervisor is giving you permission to talk to you about it. So a lot of it is around the culture and the softer skills that we're bringing in. Communication, another key element and ingredient to success. And it's about having those communication links to make sure everybody understands what you're doing and how you're doing it. And you may have to communicate in a different way to one person in terms to another. So again, it's having those different softer skills to be able to do that. And then the final one again on there is the leadership element and about that visible leadership. And if you've got that visible leadership, being out on the park, engaging with people, not only do you get respect, but you can also see how the culture's changing on the sites or in the property. So in terms of Clive working at Derwent, I have leadership tours with my CEO, with my boss. I have leadership tours with other directors, and I have leadership tours with directors that don't have anything to do with construction, but they maybe look after finance or company secretarial roles, taking them out to see what we do and how we do it, and they get real understanding and a flavour of what we do. So that's really key for me in terms of that consistency over a very, very diverse portfolio. I've thrown lots of information at you today, really, in terms of, you know, what does good safety risk management look like? But I've tried to sort of share with you the way that I've done things in the UK, and I'm sure there's lots of transferable things which you've maybe listened to or seen that you could maybe use. But really, the big takeaway for me, for you guys, is really to not take away everything, but there may be some just little snippets that you think, oh, I could do that. I might try this approach. I might try that approach. But ultimately, the whole key to good risk management is about having the right competences within your people to manage risks, because we can never get rid of all risks. We know that, but it's how you manage them that's the key to success, as far as I'm concerned. And you know, we are educating the whole of the UK industry in a different way now around competencies, and we talk about skills, knowledge, training, and experience, but there's another key ingredient to that, and that is attitude. If you've got a team of people with the right attitudes, you're going to get things done in the right way. So in terms of what I've shared with you today, I mean, I'm sure you can have a copy of these slides if you need them, but I'm just very mindful of time now. I've probably done my 20 minutes, and but hopefully you've taken something away from today, I've sort of enjoyed presenting these few slides which I've just sort of shared with you. I've not shared a couple of these slides with my team yet, so you're the first to see them. But what I can say from a IIRSM perspective and a branch perspective is that IIRSM is really raising the bar on risk management, not just in the UK, but internationally now with your good selves. We're really sort of spreading our wings, and people are seeing the benefit of being members, and they're really seeing the benefit of what good risk management looks like with the right skills, training and attitudes. So I think I've rambled on enough there, Donna, now I think, and Hassan, but I'm happy to take some questions if there are any.
Yeah, okay, I have 2 more minutes to go, but okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Clive, for this valuable presentation and speech. Mr. Clive has discussed and explained about risk management, mentioned that competency is an essential part of risk management, saying that setting the tone across business is the success for each project. He also discussed and explained about health and security and safety. We cannot just ignore health and security because there are 3 pillars for managing risk. So health, security, and safety are the 3 pillars for risk management. He discussed also about the consistency and that leaders that should be visible. They should empower their team with trust, teamwork, and to develop relationship with others and to communicate actually with all stakeholders as well as with staff. So thank you very much, Mr. Clive.
No, pleasure.
Now the floor is for question and answers, please. So if anybody has questions.
Lovely. If anyone's got questions, please just type them into the questions section. So Clive, we have a question from Rajesh. So he says, mental health is a major concern in the current COVID era. So how can mental health be adopted into current occupational health and safety management systems?
I think the first thing to do is, whether you've got one or not, is having a sort of health and wellbeing policy within the business, which picks up on both the health and the wellbeing. But something which we did here at Derwent, we trained our physical first aiders, as you do, because it's a legal requirement. What we then did was we trained 1 in 10 people to be mental health first aiders. Although it's not a legal requirement for that, but we've trained them because of that. But just going back to the COVID bit, the mental health first aiders within Derwent have really come into their own with not only dealing with people working at home and coming under stress and duress, because without getting into too much detail here, in the centre of London, a lot of people live in flats, and that might be the same where you are. So people not being able to get out of the flats, their mental health and anxiety has been a lot higher than people that live out in the countryside. So we've really focused on people that needed to be able to touch base with other people and get that human contact again. And we've had people at the moment that don't even want to come back into work because of COVID. So because of their anxieties that high, and they're frightened to go on a tube, they're frightened to do this. So it is the COVID bit has really exaggerated the mental health agenda. So it's been adaptable to these people's sort of needs and requests. And certainly one of my recommendations would be that you maybe host some webinars where you could get somebody to come and speak about how to deal with resilience and how to be resilient, how to deal with anxiety. So these are the sort of workshops that we did during lockdown to help our people working at home, particularly around resilience and particularly around the the anxiety bits about coming back into work. And they've helped people come back into work. I don't know if that's answered your question or not, but the COVID bit has really exaggerated the the mental health agenda for us particularly. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Clive. We've got another question from Mohsen. So he just wanted to say thank you first for a very informative webinar. His question is, you mentioned soft skills that are important. So which soft skills are they, or which soft skills come to mind first? So I think that's in terms of managing health and safety.
Yeah, well, there's lots of things for soft skills. It's being able to adjust your conversation to different people's requirements. Some people like a do this, do that, and they like that approach. Other people, you have to coach them into doing it the right way as opposed to telling them. So it's having that ability to adjust your language and conversations to be able to have the conversation with different people. And there are training courses in the UK which now offer these softer skills in terms of how to start the conversation, how to adjust your conversations, how to finish a conversation. And I believe those skills are an absolute essential skill for any risk manager or health and safety professional, because of, yes, we may all be very technically competent, but if you've got those softer skills, your ability to influence is far better than waving that book at somebody to say, don't do this because they're working at regulations say that. So when I'm recruiting now, I look at the competencies for technical, don't get me wrong, but the key for me, above all that, is their softer skills, because I know I can train somebody on the technical things, but quite often you can't train somebody on softer skills. They either have got it or they haven't got it. So I've been speaking with recruiters now to make sure when they're bringing people to, you know, where I'm asking for to interview people, that they look at the softer skills. And I don't know what businesses you do work for, but if you speak to HR, quite often they've got some of these sort of conversational type courses, which I think are key to the success of being a risk manager, because the ability to influence is absolutely crucial for your success.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you. So another question from Rajesh. So he, within his workplace, many incidents are happening that are related to equipment. So how important is process safety management and asset integrity management?
Well, there's two bits there. So the equipment itself, if I just think back to some of my life's experiences around this within the UK, the knowledge to operate equipment has got to come from obviously the training they've received on it. But in a factory environment, for example, or manufacturing environment, the key is not for people not to be complacent with things in terms of, I've been doing this for so many years, I can do this, I can do that. But I suppose from an employer's point of view, you've got to get the right person with the right, again, attitude and competencies. But it's having the right equipment with all the right guards, with all the right safety cutouts, and that all comes from the initial sort of inductions that you give that person before you put them on that machine. And that goes to whether it's a piece of machinery that's static or a piece of plant or equipment that people drive. You know, it is having, yes, again, the technical sort of understanding and skills to do that. But I think quite often in a factory environment, my experience tells me that they think they're cocooned in an environment which is a safe bubble, and they don't see what's happening around them. And it's just not getting complacent, I think, is key. And just to keep them on the toes. I think, just remind me the second bit, was that about the processes, I think it was?
Yes, so it was about process safety management and asset integrity management.
Yeah, well, the process safety management, again, that's usually written instructions that people have to follow, which is great. You need that in any world where if anything goes wrong, you've got to have the process to demonstrate you've got something in place. And if anybody puts a claim in, you've got to say, well, this is the process and that person didn't follow it. And it's getting people to follow the rules because they want to follow them, not because they have to follow them. So engaging people in the development of the process, the person that's doing it, engaging them in that process, I think is the key to that success. Engaging them in the process of that particular piece of equipment, because they operate it, they understand it more than the person that's probably right. And that goes for any sort of documentation, risk assessments, method statements. I think the key is to involve the person that's carrying out the work, get the right, and then if you do that, there's every chance they're going to follow it if you involve them.
Yeah, brilliant. Nazar, it's a question for you. So what systems are implemented to manage risk and safety at ALBA?
We have so many systems. If you are talking about the ISO systems, then yes, we have it there, 14,001 for the environment, and we have a several system. But as Cliff mentions here, it's not about the system. It's not something you go and, okay, this is the system, I purchase it, I put it on a shelf, and it will solve your problem if they are looking after that. Of course, we have several systems, and we also ensure that we follow all the legislations of the Kingdom of Bahrain related to health and safety and environment, and that it's dictate even your system you try to follow, because one of the mistake it happened with the safety. Sometimes people, they understand, okay, if I go to that ABC system, it will solve my problem. I don't think that is the answer for health and safety and risk management. It's several, but of course in ALBA, as I mentioned, we have several systems we follow in ALBA.
Brilliant, thank you, Nazar.
Just support that there. The systems are fantastic what Nazar's got in place there, but ultimately the only thing that makes a system safe is the person doing the job. So you can have all the paperwork in the world, but if the person doesn't choose to do it, you know, the paperwork doesn't make the job safe, does it? It's the person. Yeah,
I agree, Clive. So there's one more question about ISO 45003. Does this work with existing occupational health and safety management systems?
Is this question for me?
For either of anybody on the panel, So can ISO 45003 be integrated with existing occupational health and safety management systems? Does anyone know?
Can you repeat the question, Donna, please? Because it was not clear.
Yeah, sure. So the question is, they have an existing occupational health and safety management system and wants to know if ISO 45003 can be integrated into that system.
Be able to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the answer is yes, it can.
Yeah,
I think the way that ISO works is it genuinely supports any management system that you have. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, that's all the questions that we have so far. So thank you everybody for sending those through. Hassan, I'll hand back to you to do the closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Donna. At the end, I would like to thank Al-Amin Bahrain ALBA for sponsoring this risk and safety management webinar. We'd like to thank Mr. Clive Johnson, IIRSM President, for his valuable speech. I'm sure everybody benefited from his presentation. Of course, I would like to thank Mr. Nizar Hamid, the safety manager at ALBA. He mentioned for the social responsibility of ALBA for his contribution also for this webinar. IIRSM Bahrain branch has recently been formed with the aim of supporting local IIRSM members while supported by head office in the UK. Of course, the main objectives is to promote IIRSM in Bahrain through professional events, webinars like this webinar, support member development programs, CBD journey, collaborate and deliver local partnership with businesses, government bodies, and that's what we are working on. Strengthen the relationship with IIRSM members in Bahrain and local areas. And of course, to research risk issues, disseminate results to members, and advise on best practice for risk management. I must also thank the organizer for this event, namely Dina and Luna, and all other who supported this webinar. I would also like to thank everybody who joined us for this webinar, and I hope they have benefited from this webinar. Thank you, everybody, and I hope to see you again next event. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Cheers.
Lovely. Thank you, everybody. Take care, and thank you all for attending.
Thank you.
Bye.